My husband put me out and kept all my assets just to hand them over to his mistress. All I have left is a worn-out debit card my father left me. I thought the balance was zero, but it ended up making the bank manager tremble with fear. Come on, tell me where you're watching from. Don't forget to like and subscribe so we can unravel this mystery together. The thick, humid heat of an Atlanta summer hit Zalika's skin the moment she stepped out of the Uber. She had spent 2 weeks in a tiny, dusty town in Alabama, down in the sticks, taking care of her mother who had been critically ill. Now that her mother was stable, Zalika was returning home, longing for the comfort of her luxury penthouse and, of course, her husband, Kwesi. She dragged her small suitcase through the lobby of the Sovereign, one of the most prestigious apartment buildings in Buckhead, right in the heart of Atlanta's wealth. A smile spread across her face when the elevator chimed on the 30th floor. She was exhausted but happy to be home. The hallway was cool and quiet. She arrived in front of door 30A, her penthouse. Zalika dug around in her purse and pulled out the key fob for the apartment. She tapped the card against the digital reader on the door. Beep, beep. A red light flashed. Access denied. Zalika frowned. She tried again. Beep, beep. That's strange. Maybe the card got demagnetized, she murmured. She rang the doorbell twice. There was a moment of silence. Then footsteps could be heard inside, followed by the soft click of the lock turning from the inside. The heavy door swung open. There stood Kwesi, her husband, but he wasn't the Kwesi she knew. The man's eyes were cold. He was wearing a silk robe, and on his neck there was a fresh mark of bright red lipstick. "Ah, you're back already," Kwesi said, and it wasn't a welcoming greeting. Zalika's heart seemed to stop beating. "Kwesi, why isn't my key working?" Zalika asked. Her voice was trembling. "Because I changed the locks," Kwesi replied, still blocking the entrance. From inside the apartment, the crystal-clear laughter of a woman rang out. "Babe, who is it? If it's a solicitor, tell them to kick rocks." A young and very beautiful woman, much younger than Zalika, appeared over Kwesi's shoulder. Zalika recognized her instantly as Inaya, a local Instagram model who was gaining clout and who made Zalika's stomach turn. Inaya was wearing Zalika's silk robe, the very same robe Zalika had gifted herself for her wedding anniversary last year. Inaya's eyes swept over Zalika from top to bottom, judging her simple travel clothes, her tired face, and her worn-out suitcase. "Oh," Inaya said with a mocking smirk, "it's not a solicitor. Turns out it's the ex-wife." "Ex-wife? Kwesi, what is this?" Zalika whispered, feeling a stinging burn in her eyes. "Who is she? Why is she in our house? Why is she wearing my clothes?" Kwesi sighed as if Zalika were a trivial nuisance. "Listen, Zalika, this is over. Better we talk downstairs. Don't make a scene here." Kwesi didn't even give her a chance to step inside. He stepped out into the hallway, closing the door behind him, leaving Inaya smiling smugly on the inside. Kwesi didn't speak at all while they rode down in the elevator. Zalika was petrified. Her brain wasn't capable of processing what had just happened. The smell of Inaya's perfume, an expensive scent that wasn't to her taste at all, lingered faintly on Kwesi's robe. The elevator chimed, opening into the busy lobby. It was evening rush hour. A few other residents looked at them with curiosity. Kwesi walked quickly toward a corner of the lobby, somewhat secluded, near a large floor-to-ceiling window overlooking Peachtree Road. Zalika followed him like a robot. "Kwesi, explain this to me," Zalika demanded. Her voice was barely audible. "What is there to explain?" Kwesi said coldly. "Is it not clear? No, you and I are done. Finished. Just like that. After 10 years? After I took care of your mother, after her stroke last year, after building with you from ground zero?" Kwesi let out a cynical laugh. "Building with me from ground zero? Don't be ridiculous, Zalika. I am successful thanks to my hard work. You're just a burden, especially after you spent so much time taking care of your mama in that country town. You forgot your duties as a wife. My duties? Yes. Look at you. Kwesi pointed at Zalika with disgust, disheveled, unkempt. I am a major developer. I need a partner on my level, not a housewife like you. Zalika's jaw dropped. The man in front of her seemed like a complete stranger. Inaya? So it's been going on this whole time? Yeah, we've been together a year, Kwesi said, without a shred of guilt. And she understands me much better. Suddenly, a building security guard approached, pushing a small, tattered duffel bag. The same bag Zalika used when they first moved to Atlanta years ago. Kwesi took the bag and threw it at Zalika's feet. The contents spilled out a little, just some old clothes and a wallet. Those are your things. The rest I threw out, Kwesi said. Then he tossed a brown envelope onto the bag. Those are the divorce papers. I've already signed them. Inside is a settlement. All the assets, this penthouse, the cars, the company, everything is in my name. You came into this marriage with nothing. You leave with nothing. The tears finally escaped Zalika's eyes. This wasn't just a humiliation. It was an annihilation. You can't do this. Oh, I can, and I already have. Kwesi looked at her with eyes as cold as ice. Sign those papers. If you behave yourself and don't claim marital assets, maybe I'll be generous and give you cash for a Greyhound bus ticket back to your little town in Alabama. Some people in the lobby started to whisper. Seeing the scene, Zalika felt naked. Get out, Kwesi hissed. But this is my home too. Not anymore, Kwesi shouted. Security! 2 security guards approached. They looked uncomfortable, but they were clearly on the side of Kwesi, the owner of the penthouse. I'm sorry, ma'am. Please don't make a scene, one of them said, gently grabbing Zalika's arm. Zalika was dragged out by force. She looked back, staring at Kwesi with desperation. Kwesi, please. Kwesi just looked at her blankly, then turned around and walked toward the elevator. Up above, near the mezzanine railing, Zalika could see Inaya's silhouette watching her victory. The heavy glass door of the lobby hissed shut behind Zalika. Separating her from the life of the last 10 years, she was thrown onto the busy sidewalk under the Atlanta sky, which was starting to darken, with only a duffel bag of old clothes and the divorce papers that insulted her. Night fell quickly in Atlanta. The streetlights began to flicker on, but for Zalika, the whole world seemed dark. She walked aimlessly. The sound of honking horns from the heavy traffic on Peachtree sounded like roars in her ears. She had nowhere to go. Her mother in Alabama was still in recovery. She couldn't add the weight of this news to her mother's burden. Her feet carried her to Centennial Olympic Park. She sat on one of the empty benches, staring at the skyline. Her stomach growled. She hadn't eaten since morning. Ironically, all around her the restaurant patios were coming alive. The aroma of barbecue ribs, fried catfish, and waffle cones floated in the air, making her stomach ache even more. People laughed. Young black couples walked hand in hand. Zalika felt like a ghost. Invisible, non-existent. She opened the wallet Kwesi had thrown at her. Inside was about $10 in cash. Not even enough for a night in a cheap motel on the outskirts. She pulled out her phone. Battery was at 5%. She rushed to open the mobile banking app for their joint account. Balance, 0. Kwesi had cleaned her out, draining every dollar they had together, which also included the savings Zalika had before getting married. A cold, heavy despair wrapped around her. It was over. She was truly at rock bottom. She would be homeless tonight. Tears fell without making a sound. She looked down at the contents of her wallet again. Behind the card slot was a faded photo, a picture of her father. Her father, Tendai Okafor, a simple tobacco farmer and merchant who died 10 years ago, just before Zalika married Kwesi. And behind that photo was something else. Zalika's trembling fingers pulled it out, a faded blue debit card that was already peeling at the edges. The logo was barely legible. Heritage Trust of the South, a small, old regional bank. Zalika was stunned. She remembered now that her father gave her this card when she was 17, back when she was moving out for the first time to go to college at Spelman. "Keep this, my baby girl," her father had said back then, using a loving tone. His voice was soft but firm. This is an account Papa created for you. Never use it unless it is absolutely necessary. Don't mix it with money for your expenses. Imagine it doesn't exist." "How much is in it, Papa?" she had asked curiously. Her father just smiled mysteriously. "Enough to be an anchor. If you ever feel like your ship is going to sink, use this. But as long as you can sail, don't touch this anchor." Zalika never used it. She forgot about it. She was busy with college. Then she met Kwesi, busy building her husband's empire. She always thought the account would have, at most, a few $100s, the remainder of some allowance that wasn't used. But tonight, her ship wasn't just going to sink. Her ship was already blown to pieces. She held the card tight. The $10 in her wallet wasn't enough for anything, but maybe the rest of her father's money would be enough to buy a bus ticket back to Alabama. A small hope, as thin as a thread, began to light up in her tight chest. Zalika didn't sleep all night. She took shelter under the awning of a closed shop, hugging her duffel bag tight, waiting for morning to come. She was dirty, hungry, and scared, but the faded card felt warm in her hand. At 8:00 a.m., she was already standing in front of the branch of Heritage Trust of the South on a side street in downtown Atlanta. The place was exactly as she remembered from her childhood visits, an old stone building that seemed anchored in the past, far from the impression of the modern glass and steel banks where Kwesi kept his money. Inside, the atmosphere was quiet. There were only 2 tellers and a customer service desk. The smell of old paper and dust dominated the room. Zalika took a number. She was the only customer. She was called to the customer service desk, manned by a young man in a white shirt. His name tag read, Kofi. "Good morning, ma'am. How can I help you?" Kofi was polite, though his eyes showed a bit of confusion seeing Zalika's somewhat disheveled appearance. "Good morning." Zalika's voice was hoarse. I want to check the balance, but the card is very old. I've also forgotten the PIN." Zalika handed over the faded blue card. Kofi took it. He turned the card over, frowning. "Wow, ma'am, this card is ancient. This is our old logo." "Can it still be used?" Zalika asked anxiously. "I'll check, ma'am." Kofi took Zalika's ID, matching the name, Zalika Okafor. He started typing on his computer. The system seemed slow. Kofi typed, clicked, and then frowned again. That's strange," he murmured. "What's wrong?" Zalika's heart beat wildly. "The data isn't coming up directly. Ma'am, our legacy system is sometimes a little slow. It seems this account is in an inactive or dormant state. How long has it been since there were transactions?" "Maybe 10 years," Zalika replied hesitantly. Kofi's eyes went wide. 20 years. One moment, ma'am. I'm going to try accessing the manual server." His fingers danced over the keyboard again. His computer screen flickered, showing rows of green code that Zalika didn't understand. Silence. Only the sound of the keyboard and the noisy air conditioning could be heard. Zalika bit her lip. "It's over," she thought. "Surely the account has been closed, the money lost." Kofi scratched his head. "How odd. The balance isn't reading, ma'am, but there is a sort of flag, an alert on this account. A high-level alert." "Alert? Does that mean I have debt?" Zalika panicked. No, not debt. I've never seen a code like this." "One moment, ma'am." Kofi typed a series of commands. The computer seemed to think for a moment. Then, on Kofi's screen, something appeared. Kofi's face, which was relaxed before, suddenly changed. He went pale. His eyes opened wide, glued to the monitor. "Mr. Kofi?" Zalika called out. Kofi didn't answer. He seemed frozen. He reread what was on the screen. His mouth opened slightly. Kofi swallowed hard. Suddenly, he stood up from his chair so fast that the chair flew backward, making a loud screech. "Mr. Zuberi! Mr. Director!" Kofi's voice was shrill, breaking the silence of the small bank. He didn't care about Zalika anymore. His eyes were still glued with horror to the screen. A middle-aged black man with a stern look. Mr. Zuberi, the branch manager, stepped out of his office. "What is it, Kofi? Don't shout like that. There are customers," Mr. Zuberi scolded. His tone was flat. "I'm sorry, sir, but you have to see this." Kofi pointed at the screen with a trembling hand. "Account in the name of Zalika Okafor. Inheritance from her father, Tendai Okafor." Mr. Zuberi sighed, annoyed at being interrupted, and walked toward Kofi's desk, preparing to lecture his young employee. He glanced at the screen, and then he froze. His professional, rigid face crumbled in an instant. His expression changed from annoyance to confusion, and then to a deathly pallor. He looked at the screen, then looked at Zalika, and then back at the screen. "Ma'am, Mrs. Zalika Okafor?" Mr. Zuberi asked. His voice, previously firm, was now trembling. "Yes, sir," Zalika whispered, scared. "What's wrong? Was my father a criminal?" "Kofi," Mr. Zuberi ordered. "Close your window quickly. Put up the closed sign. Take Mrs. Zalika to my office right now. Don't let anyone see this screen." The order was so urgent and full of panic that Zalika jumped. Kofi, stuttering, immediately put up the closed sign and turned off his monitor. "Come with me, ma'am," Kofi said, now treating Zalika with immense respect, almost with fear. In Mr. Zuberi's cramped office, the door was locked instantly. Mr. Zuberi paced from one side to the other for a moment before finally sitting in his chair. His hands shook slightly as he turned on his desk computer. "Excuse me, ma'am. You caught us by surprise," Mr. Zuberi said. "Actually, what is happening, sir? Did my father leave a huge debt?" Zalika asked. Her voice was on the verge of breaking into tears. "Debt?" Mr. Zuberi let out a nervous chuckle. "No, ma'am. Far from it." He turned his computer monitor toward Zalika. Kofi, who was standing in the room, pointed at the screen, holding his breath. "Ma'am, look at this quickly." The screen didn't show a balance in dollars. The screen showed an ownership structure diagram. "Ma'am," Mr. Zuberi said, his voice low with astonishment, "this account is not a normal savings account. This is a master account connected to a limited liability company, a corporation." Zalika frowned. "Corporation? LLC?" "Correct. Called Okafor Legacy Holdings, LLC. This company was founded by your father, Tendai Okafor, in 1998 and was left inactive exactly 20 years ago." "But my father was just a tobacco salesman." "That is what he wanted people to know, ma'am," Mr. Zuberi interrupted. "Your father seems he wasn't just a salesman. He was a land broker, a genius one at that." Mr. Zuberi clicked on a tab on the screen. The title was List of Assets, Okafor Legacy Holdings, LLC. Mr. Zuberi continued reading the contents. "It is the legal owner of 2,000 acres of pecan groves and farmland in South Georgia, all under this deed. The sole ownership was transferred completely to you as the heir with a special clause." "What clause?" Zalika whispered. "This company activates automatically, and all its assets become accessible to the heir. Only if the heir accesses this master account in a desperate situation, or if the balance of their personal account is zero." Zalika's jaw dropped. Her father had predicted this. She looked at the row of numbers on the screen. They weren't savings figures, but figures of land acreage. She didn't faint. She didn't scream. Zalika simply sat up straight. The hunger, the exhaustion, and the humiliation she had felt for the last 24 hours evaporated. They were replaced by something else, something cold, sharp, and very strong. She remembered Kwesi's mocking face. She remembered Inaya's victory smile. "Mr. Zuberi," Zalika said. Her voice was calm and cold, surprising herself. "Yes, ma'am?" "How do I activate this company right now?" Mr. Zuberi looked at Zalika with concern. The reaction of the woman in front of him was totally unexpected. She wasn't crying. She wasn't screaming with joy. Her eyes, swollen from crying the night before, now hardened. She stared at the computer screen with a cold, terrifying focus. "Mr. Zuberi," Zalika repeated. Her voice was steady. "What do I need to activate this?" Mr. Zuberi stuttered. Technically, it is already active, ma'am. As soon as you accessed this account with a null personal balance, the clause was fulfilled. Our legal team managing the trust, well, they are already waiting for your instructions. Kofi. The young employee promptly poured a glass of water and placed it in front of Zalika. Zalika didn't drink it. My father, Tendai Okafor. What else do you know about him? Mr. Zuberi opened a drawer, pulling out a thick, dusty folder. Your father was a priority client, long before the term private banking existed. He left this, a letter and legal documents. He said, "This can only be opened by my daughter or by us if she has accessed the account." Mr. Zuberi handed over a yellowed envelope. Zalika's hands trembled as she opened it. Inside was a sheet of paper written neatly by hand. To my baby girl, Zalika, if you are reading this, it means there are two possibilities. First, Papa is no longer here, and you are ready to start your own life. Second, life hasn't gone according to your plans. Papa was a salesman, it's true, but Papa also knew that this world isn't always fair to good black women like you. I saw how they treated your mother. Papa kept a small anchor for you, not to spoil you, but to ensure you have options when you feel cornered. Papa designed the desperate clause on purpose. I know you are smart, but your heart is too soft. I was afraid. If you had wealth, you would attract the wrong man, and if you didn't have wealth, you would be oppressed by the wrong man. Papa failed in one thing. I hope you never need to read this letter, but if you read it, remember Papa's message. Don't cry. Don't get revenge with tears. Build your own kingdom, my child. Make them regret it. The anchor has been dropped. Now sail, baby girl. Love, Papa. The tears she had been holding back finally fell. They weren't tears of sadness, but of understanding. Her father, the simple salesman, had seen the future. He had seen Kwesi decades before Kwesi existed. Zalika wiped her tears with the back of her hand. She looked at Mr. Zuberi. I need 3 things, she said. What things, ma'am? First, cash. I don't have a dime. Of course. Kofi, prepare a cash withdrawal from the operating account, Mr. Zuberi said. Second, Zalika continued, I need a place to stay temporarily. A secure hotel, far from the sovereign apartments. That can be arranged. We have corporate rates with secure hotels. Third, and this is the most important, Zalika leaned forward, I need all the financial data of Okafor Legacy Holdings, LLC, and I need a recommendation for the best business restructuring consultant, not from around here. I want someone from the Midtown Financial District, someone who doesn't know Kwesi. Mr. Zuberi was stunned for a moment, impressed by the composure of the woman who, 30 minutes ago, looked like a homeless person. I know a name, Mr. Zuberi said. They nickname him the Cleaner. Very expensive, very cold. His name is Sekou. Good, Zalika said. Give me the money, book me the hotel, and organize my meeting with Sekou. Zalika didn't stay at the hotel Mr. Zuberi booked. That was her first step, not being predictable. After taking a considerable amount of cash, enough to make her dizzy if it had been yesterday, she bought a new phone, a new number, and several sets of simple but clean clothes at a nearby mall. Then she booked a room at the St. Regis, one of the most luxurious hotels in Atlanta, under a fake name. For 24 hours, she locked herself in the room. She ordered room service, ate her first decent meal, took a hot bath, and slept. She let her brain process the destruction and rebirth in a single day. The next morning, she didn't call Sekou. She knew someone like Sekou wouldn't be impressed with a phone call. Zalika went to the financial district in Midtown. Sekou's office was in one of the skyscrapers, minimalist, cold, all glass and steel. Zalika, in her new clothes, simple but neat, contrasted with the setting. I want to see Mr. Sekou. I don't have an appointment, she told the receptionist. Mr. Sekou is busy, ma'am. His schedule is full for the next 2 months. Tell him, Zalika said calmly. Zalika Okafor, owner of Okafor Legacy Holdings, LLC, assets of 2,000 acres. This is urgent. The receptionist hesitated, but the words 2,000 acres made her pick up the phone. 5 minutes later, Zalika was ushered into a corner office with a view of all of Atlanta. Sekou was a black man in his mid-30s. He didn't smile. He wore a dress shirt with no tie, but he looked more formal than Kwesi ever did in his suits. His eyes were sharp, analyzing Zalika. "I only have 10 minutes, Mrs. Okafor," Sekou said. His voice was deep and flat. "Okafor Legacy Holdings, dormant company, agricultural assets. What is the problem?" Zalika sat down without being invited. "The problem, Mr. Sekou," Zalika said, "is that this company just woke up. The assets are large, but I don't know anything about pecans, peaches, or how to run it. And I have another problem that must be solved." "What problem?" "My ex-husband, a developer in Atlanta. His name is Kwesi. He demands a share. He doesn't know about this." Sekou raised an eyebrow. "This is interesting. What do you want from me?" "I want you to restructure this company from the ground up. Audit everything. Make it an active, modern, profitable company. And I want you to be my personal advisor," Zalika said. "I want to know how to use this power." Sekou stared at her for a long time. "I am expensive, ma'am." "I know," Zalika replied. "I don't deal with personal dramas." "I'm not asking you to deal with drama. I'm asking you to teach me how to win a business war. The drama is the bonus." Sekou smiled slightly, his first smile. "When do we start?" "Yesterday," Zalika replied. 2 weeks passed. Atlanta didn't know what was happening in the offices. Zalika and Sekou's small team worked 20 hours a day. They dissected Okafor Legacy Holdings, LLC. It turned out the assets were greater than estimated. Zalika's father hadn't just bought land. He also bought small shares in various agri-food companies whose value had now skyrocketed. Zalika learned fast. She devoured financial reports, studied property laws, and learned the fundamentals of agribusiness management. Sekou watched her. This client was different. She didn't panic. She wasn't greedy. She was focused. She was like a dry sponge, absorbing all the information. During those 2 weeks, Zalika also transformed herself. She cut her long, dull hair into a short, firm, elegant bob. She threw out all her old clothes with the help of a personal shopper hired by Sekou. Her closet now contained tailored suits, silk blouses, and simple but classy dresses in strong colors: black, navy blue, and burgundy. Reading glasses replaced her contacts. High heels replaced sandals. But the biggest change was in her eyes. There was no fear anymore, only calculation. "Are you ready to get back in the ring, ma'am?" Sekou asked one afternoon. "I'm ready," Zalika said. They didn't go to the hotel. Under Zalika's orders, Sekou's team had worked discreetly in Atlanta. They bought an old mansion in the Cascade Heights area. Not a flashy new McMansion like Kwesi liked, but a historic, solid, elegant building that emanated an aura of old black power and generational wealth. The house was paid for in cash. When Zalika walked into her new mansion, she was no longer the Zalika who was kicked out of the apartment lobby. She was Ms. Zalika Okafor, CEO of Okafor Legacy Holdings, LLC. Meanwhile, in the penthouse at the Sovereign, Kwesi and Inaya's life was at its peak. "This project, babe," Kwesi exclaimed one night while pouring champagne for Inaya. "This is going to change the game." Kwesi, after managing to kick Zalika out, felt invincible. His construction business was frantically looking for new projects. "I have inside info." His eyes shone with greed. "There's prime land, thousands of acres down in South Georgia coming onto the market. They say it's going to be opened up for a luxury development. I have to get the construction contract." Inaya, who was busy taking selfies with her champagne glass, was only half listening. "Oh yeah, great. That means our wedding can be in Turks and Caicos, right? And I want that new Birkin bag, the crocodile skin one." "Sure, whatever for you," Kwesi said. But deep down, he was a little anxious. To get such a big project, he needed a huge capital injection. He needed investors. His company honestly had quite a few debts here and there to finance their lavish lifestyle. I'll organize meetings with all possible investors, Kwesi murmured. A few days later, Kwesi heard rumors in Atlanta business circles. Did you hear? An acquaintance said. There's a new player in town investing like crazy, bought a mansion in Cascade Cash, brought in a consultant from Midtown, that guy Sekou, the cleaner. What's the name? Kwesi asked. Interesting. No one knows exactly, very secretive, but the company name is old. Okafor Legacy Holdings, LLC. Ring a bell? Kwesi shook his head. Old-fashioned name. Probably some old money folks just realizing their assets. This is the opportunity. Kwesi immediately ordered his secretary to find a way to contact Okafor Legacy Holdings. He had to present his proposal for the development in South Georgia. He didn't know that the lands he coveted were the very ones listed in Zalika's deed. The invitation arrived. Okafor Legacy Holdings, LLC was interested in hearing the proposal from Kwesi's company. The meeting would be held at the CEO's residence in the Cascade Mansion. Kwesi felt on top of the world. Look, Inaya, they invited me. Surely they've heard of my reputation. That morning, Kwesi put on his most expensive suit. He rehearsed his presentation in front of the mirror. He was determined to dazzle this mysterious investor. He arrived at the mansion. The high wrought iron gate opened slowly. He walked into a majestic but cool foyer. The walls were marble, the furniture antique and heavy. An assistant with a formal look received him. Good afternoon, Mr. Kwesi. Please wait in the meeting room. Our CEO will join you shortly. Kwesi was led to a grand library transformed into a meeting room. On one side was a very long mahogany table. On the other, tall windows overlooked a manicured garden. At the end of the table sat a man looking at his laptop. Sekou. Kwesi thought he was the boss. Good afternoon, sir. Sekou looked up. His eyes were cold. I am Sekou, consultant. Sit down, Mr. Kwesi. Our CEO is on the way. Kwesi sat down. He started to feel a little nervous. The atmosphere in this room was too heavy, too silent. 5 minutes passed like an hour. Suddenly, the double doors behind Kwesi opened. Kwesi didn't turn around. He heard the sound of footsteps. High heels. Click, clack, click, clack. A firm and rhythmic sound on the marble floor. Sorry for the wait. A voice was heard, a familiar voice, but impossible. Kwesi froze. He knew that voice, but this voice was cold, full of authority. He turned his chair slowly. The footsteps stopped at the other end of the table. There stood Zalika, her hair perfectly styled. She was wearing a navy blue power dress that wrapped her body perfectly. Reading glasses rested on her nose. Her face was made up subtly, but professionally. She looked at Kwesi. There was no hatred in her eyes, no love, nothing. Just the look of a superior at a subordinate. Kwesi's mouth opened, but no sound came out. Zalika sat calmly in the head chair. Sekou stood beside her, handing her a tablet. Zalika looked at Kwesi and then smiled. The smile didn't reach her eyes. Good afternoon, Mr. Kwesi, she said. Her clear voice filled the room. I am Zalika Okafor, CEO of Okafor Legacy Holdings, LLC. She leaned in a little. Please begin your presentation. I heard you are very interested in the lands in South Georgia. Zalika paused, letting her words sink in. Casually, she continued in a relaxed tone. Coincidentally, all the land you covet for your ambitious project belongs to me. Silence. The silence in the meeting room was so thick that Kwesi could hear his own heart beating in his ears. A joke. This has to be a joke. But Zalika's eyes, the eyes that used to look at him with adoration, were now as cold as the marble beneath his feet. Zalika. Kwesi managed to emit a sound. His voice cracked. This is impossible. 2,000 acres. Okafor Legacy. Where did you get the money? Zalika leaned back in her chair, not answering that question. She turned to Sekou. Mr. Sekou, what do you think of the initial proposal from Kwesi Constructions, Inc.? Sekou, who had been silent like a shadow, spoke. His voice was flat and lethal. Conceptually ambitious, but financially very weak. Mr. Quasi, your proposal does not include adequate risk analysis, and your profit projections are too optimistic. Quasi felt as if he had been doused with ice water. He came to dazzle a foolish investor. Instead, he was being audited. Wait, Quasi said, trying to control himself. His arrogance started to return, looking for logical explanations. I know, Zalika must just be a puppet. This man Sekou is the one in control. Zalika just got lucky. Zal, he said, trying a softer tone, the tone he used to cajole Zalika. I don't know what happened to you, but this is big business. Maybe we can collaborate. I mean, you know me. I'm the best builder in Atlanta. Zalika smiled slightly. Oh, I know you very well, Quasi. Then she stood up. I don't have more time, but I will give you a chance. Hope lit up instantly in Quasi's eyes. My team, Zalika looked at Sekou, will do due diligence, a complete life diligence of your company. We need to see your accounting, your list of assets, and your list of debts. We will not invest a single dollar in a company that is not transparent. Quasi hesitated. Opening his books would be a disaster. His company wasn't as healthy as he bragged. Why does it have to be so complicated? He asked. It's me, Zal. He stopped. Your ex-husband. Precisely for that reason, Mr. Quasi. Sekou interrupted. We must be professional. Take it or leave it. If you reject the audit, we will consider your proposal void and offer our land to another developer. I heard your competition from Buckhead is very interested. That was a threat. Quasi was cornered. If he withdrew, he lost the biggest project of his life. If he moved forward, he had to open his wounds. Fine, Quasi said, forced. Fine, audit. I'm not hiding anything. Zalika nodded. Mr. Sekou's team will contact you. Good afternoon. Quasi was escorted out of the mansion. He got into his car with his knees shaking. He didn't know if he had just escaped danger or if he had just walked into a trap. What he knew was that the Zalika he just met scared him. Quasi returned to the apartment at the Sovereign in a mess. Babe, Inaya greeted, jumping off the sofa. She was wearing new silk lingerie. How did it go? Are we rich yet? When can we start planning the wedding in Turks? Shut up for a second, Inaya. I'm thinking, Quasi shouted, throwing his jacket on the floor. Inaya was surprised. Hey, why are you yelling at me? Quasi paced back and forth. The investor is complicated. It's really messed up. What do you mean complicated? Did they say no? Inaya asked. Her tone was starting to get anxious. No, not yet. But my God, you're not going to believe this. Quasi pulled his hair. The investor, the CEO, is Zalika. Inaya froze. What? Zalika? The homeless woman? She's not homeless anymore, Quasi growled. She is different. She has a mansion in Cascade. She has a financial consultant. She owns the land. Inaya's beautiful face went pale. This was the worst-case scenario, not because she loved Quasi, but because her status, her luxuries, and her future depended on Quasi's wallet. And now that wallet was threatened by the woman she had despised the most. Surely it's a bluff, Inaya shrieked. She can't be that smart. Surely she hooked up with some old rich man. Yes, that's it. She's a kept woman. Quasi wasn't listening. She wants to audit my company. What am I going to do? Inaya's panic transformed into anger. That woman, who does she think she is? Coming back and ruining everything. I'll handle her, Inaya hissed. Handle what? Don't get involved. But Inaya already had a plan. She knew where the new black elite of Atlanta gathered. She would find Zalika. She would humiliate that woman in public, reminding her who she really was. A few days later, Inaya, through a friend, discovered Zalika's location, a luxury boutique cafe in the new office area of Buckhead. Inaya arrived with full force, designer clothes from the latest season, a flashy bag, heavy makeup. She saw Zalika sitting alone in a corner, reading documents on a tablet while drinking tea. Inaya slammed her hand directly on the table, making noise on purpose. "Well, well, well. Look who's here," Inaya said. Her voice was projected so everyone could hear. "Mrs. Zalika Okafor, right? Moving fast, huh? Climbing classes, from being thrown out in the lobby to sitting in an expensive cafe." Zalika looked up slowly, looked at Inaya, and then went back to looking at her tablet. She said nothing. That indifference made Inaya even angrier. "Hey, I'm talking to you, heifer. Don't play deaf. Who do you think you are, huh? You're bothering Kwesi. Stay away from him. He is mine now." Zalika sighed. She put down her tablet. "Yours?" Zalika asked. Her voice was calm. "Things that are owned are usually objects. Miss Inaya isn't human. Don't give me lessons. I know your game. You came back to steal Kwesi from me again, right? Because he's successful." Zalika let out a little chuckle, a cold laugh. "Steal Kwesi, Miss Inaya? Why would I bother picking up the trash I already threw out?" Inaya's face turned red. Zalika stood up. Now she was at eye level with Inaya. "Listen well," Zalika whispered, but the intensity made Inaya take a step back. "I'm not interested in Kwesi. I'm interested in his company. And if you want to know—" Zalika looked at the flashy paper Inaya was holding. "Kwesi came to me begging me to finance his project. He isn't even capable of paying for your lifestyle without begging me." "Liar." "Ah, yes." Zalika pulled out a black credit card, the Centurion card, from her wallet. A card made of metal. "Today I feel generous," she called the waiter. "The check, please, and also for this lady. I'm paying." Zalika looked at Inaya. "Consider it charity. You need it more than I do." She grabbed her tablet and walked out, leaving Inaya frozen in shame, turned into a spectacle for the entire cafe. The bait game had worked. Kwesi was humiliated by the urgent need to hand over all his financial documents to Seku's team. Meanwhile, Zalika humiliated Inaya in the cafe. Seku's team gathered in the war room of the Cascade Mansion. "This isn't a company, Ms. Zalika," Seku said, pointing at the large screen showing the cash flow of Kwesi Constructions, Inc. "This is a house of cards built on air." "Explain," Zalika said. "First," Seku said, "materials. He charges his clients for grade A cement, but reports show he buys grade C. He takes a 40% profit just on material embezzlement. This is illegal and dangerous." Zalika remembered a small bridge project Kwesi bragged about. Her stomach turned. "Second, debts," Seku continued. "He doesn't have bank debts. He's too smart. For that, he gets into debt with small suppliers, sandpits, local hardware stores, small equipment rental companies. He delays their payments for months, even years, knowing they don't have the legal strength to fight him." The list of supplier names appeared on the screen. Zalika recognized some names. "And third, taxes," Seku said. "He keeps 2 books, one for himself, one for the IRS. His tax evasion is massive." Zalika sat in silence. The man she was married to for 10 years, the man she cared for when he was sick, turned out to be a scammer, an extortionist, and a thief. "Good," Zalika said. Her voice was steady. Seku looked at her. "Good? Yes. This gives us a weapon. What is the next step?" "Kwesi is only focused on us, on those 2,000 acres, Seku explained. "He doesn't realize that his debt to the small suppliers is his weakest point. I want you, Zalika." He stopped, thinking about the strategy. "I want you to buy all that debt." Seku smiled. "I assumed so. I have prepared 3 shell companies in Delaware. We will buy every outstanding invoice from those suppliers. We will pay cash." "The suppliers will be happy," Zalika said. "They will be very happy. And Kwesi," Seku added, "will know nothing. He will only feel relieved because the collectors will stop calling him. He will think we are going to give him capital." "How much time?" Zalika asked. "Give me a week. In a week, Kwesi Constructions, Inc. will no longer owe anything to the small merchants, Sekou said. He will owe me. Exactly as Sekou predicted, Kwesi suddenly felt his life was easier. The calls from angry suppliers stopped. He considered this a good sign. He thought the news that he was going to collaborate with Okafor Legacy. Holdings had scared the suppliers off. He was very wrong. Feeling the pressure decrease, Kwesi decided it was time to take the last step. He had to secure Zalika, not on a business level, but personal. He knew the Zalika of before was weak, forgiving, and still loved him. He sent a bouquet of white roses, Zalika's favorites back then, to the Cascade Mansion with a note. I know I was wrong. Let's talk like old times. Dinner at our usual spot. Zalika almost threw the flowers away, but Sekou stopped her. Go, Sekou said. Let him dig his own grave deeper. That night, Zalika went to the upscale restaurant where Kwesi had proposed to her. Kwesi was already waiting. He looked impeccable. He ordered the most expensive wine. Zal, he said, taking Zalika's hand across the table. Zalika allowed it. Her skin felt cold. I ask for your forgiveness. Zalika just looked at him, waiting. I know I was very wrong, Kwesi continued. His eyes got misty. His performance was perfect. Inaya, she is just a toy. I was pressured. Zal, business is hard. And you were busy with your mother. I felt lonely, so... Was it my fault? Was it my fault? Zalika asked. Her voice was calm. No, it was my fault. Kwesi rushed to correct himself. I was blind. I didn't see the diamond I had until I saw you in the meeting room the other day. I realized. Realized what? How fantastic you are. We can be the best team. Zal? Kwesi leaned in. I've already left Inaya. She's already out of the apartment. It was a lie. Inaya was shopping with his credit card at that very moment. We can start over, Kwesi whispered. We will dominate Atlanta. You with your land, me with my expertise. Forget Sekou. You don't need him. You only need me. Zalika withdrew her hand slowly. Your seduction is good, Kwesi. Better than your business presentation, she said coldly. Kwesi was surprised. Maybe you're right, Zalika continued, as if thinking. Kwesi had hope again. We really have to fix this, but I can't mix personal and business. Sure. Let's finish the business matter first, Zalika said. I've already seen the result of your audit. And? Kwesi asked anxiously. And we need to talk seriously, Zalika said. Tomorrow in my office at 10 a.m. Bring your lawyer if necessary. Once that is over, then we can talk about us. Zalika stood up, leaving Kwesi with a bottle of expensive wine and a sly smile, thinking he had just won. At 10 a.m., meeting room of the mansion. Kwesi arrived alone without a lawyer. He brought another bouquet of roses. He was very confident. He thought this meeting was just a formality before he and Zalika reconciled. He entered the room. The atmosphere was far from romantic. Zalika was already seated in the head chair. Sekou was standing beside her. On the long mahogany table there were no coffee cups, but stacks of thick legal documents. Zal, babe, Kwesi greeted, trying to break the ice with the flowers. Sit down, Kwesi, Zalika said, her voice cutting. Kwesi sat. His smile faltered. Let's get to the point, Zalika said. Mr. Sekou. Sekou stepped forward, placing a binder of documents in front of Kwesi. Mr. Kwesi, this is the list of debts of Kwesi Constructions, Inc., Sekou said. To Garcia Aggregates, a total of $100,000. To the Bolt Hardware, $50,000. To Iberian Machinery, $200,000, and so on. The total verified debt with 12 suppliers is $500,000. Kwesi's face paled. What does this mean? I'm negotiating with them. They no longer need negotiation, Zalika interrupted, because everyone has been paid in full. Kwesi looked at Zalika confused. Paid by whom? Zalika pointed to herself. By me, Sekou pushed the second binder of documents. Through 3 investment companies affiliated with Okafor Legacy Holdings, LLC. We have acquired or bought all those outstanding invoices. Copies of the debt assignment deeds are in front of you. Kwesi opened the first sheet. His heart seemed to stop. In other words, Kwesi? Zalika leaned in, looking directly into the eyes of the man who had destroyed her. Your company no longer owes anything to those small merchants. Zalika paused, letting the silence fill the room. Your company now owes me. Me. Kwesi couldn't breathe. I can pay. I can pay in installments. Oh, of course, Zalika said. But I'm not interested in doing business with you, and I'm not interested in getting back with you. I want my money back. She slapped the documents in front of Kwesi. According to the assignment clause, this debt is due. Now, you have 24 hours to liquidate those $500,000 in cash. 24 hours? That's impossible. No one has that much cash, Kwesi shouted, finally panicking. I do, Zalika replied coldly. You set a trap for me. A trap? Zalika stood up. I am only claiming what is my right, just like you kept all my rights before. If in 24 hours you cannot pay... Zalika put the third binder of documents on the stack. Our legal team will immediately register the lien on that penthouse in the Sovereign on your office and on all your heavy machinery. Good morning, Mr. Kwesi. 24 hours. Kwesi never knew how short 24 hours were. After leaving Zalika's mansion, he didn't go back to the apartment. He panicked. He spent the first hour driving aimlessly, cursing Zalika, Sekou, and the whole world. The second hour, he started calling. He called his bank manager. I need a loan of $500,000. The collateral is my project in South Georgia. The bank manager laughed on the other end of the phone. Kwesi, don't joke. You don't have that project secured yet. Besides, your credit limit is already tapped out to finance. Well, you know. Kwesi hung up the phone abruptly. From the 3rd to the 10th hour, he spent calling all his business contacts. Every friend he had invited for expensive wine, every small official he had tipped. The answer was the same. Oof, tough, Kwesi. Or, sorry, I'm out of town. Or they didn't pick up the phone. The news of his downfall, which somehow started at the mansion meeting, spread faster than fire. Hour 11. In his desperation, he returned to the penthouse. Inaya was trying on a new dress she had just bought that afternoon. How does it look, babe? Nice, right? Sell it! Kwesi shouted. What? Sell it all! Kwesi shouted with red eyes. Sell your bags! Sell your jewelry! We are bankrupt. Inaya's face paled. These are gifts, not investments. Are you crazy? Zalika set a trap for me, Kwesi raved. That snake woman bought my debts. She gave us 24 hours to pay $500,000. Inaya didn't care about the debt. She only heard one thing. The money ran out. At 10 o'clock a.m. sharp the next day, exactly 24 hours later, the doorbell of his penthouse rang. Kwesi, who hadn't slept all night, opened it. He hoped it was Zalika, coming to cancel her threat after softening up. No. In front of the door was Sekou, calm as a statue. Behind him, 2 well-dressed lawyers and a man in an official uniform holding a thick folder, the sheriff's deputy. Your time is up, Mr. Kwesi, Sekou said flatly. Wait, I need time. Time is a luxury you didn't give Zalika, Sekou interrupted. He took a step forward. According to the order from the Fulton County Superior Court, we are here to execute the lien on this asset. The deputy began putting seizure stickers on the wall of the apartment foyer. No, this is my house, Kwesi shouted. Technically, it is the collateral for your debt to my client, the lawyer corrected. You and this young lady, he looked at Inaya with disdain, are required to vacate these premises in 1 hour. Take your essential personal effects. 1 hour later, the scene in the lobby of the Sovereign turned into a spectacle. Kwesi, the same man who 10 years ago felt like the king of the place, was escorted out by security guards, the same guards who threw Zalika out before. Inaya followed him crying hysterically, dragging 2 suitcases full of her designer bags. Kwesi wasn't just bankrupt on paper. Now he was literally on the street, back at the ground zero he created for Zulika. On the hot sidewalk in front of the lobby, the real drama had just begun. "This is all your fault!" Inaya shrieked, hitting Kwesi's chest. "You said you were rich! You said you were great! Turns out you're just a scammer!" Kwesi, who had already lost everything, unloaded his remaining anger on the only target left. "My fault? Your fault? Who asked for Birkin bags every week? Who asked for vacations in Turks? You made me spend. Parasite! Parasite!" Inaya's jaw dropped. Their fight was so loud it became a public spectacle. They didn't realize that across the street someone was recording the fight with their phone. "I didn't sign up for this!" Inaya shrieked. "I'm done!" She dragged her suitcase, trying to hail a cab. "Where are you going? You won't survive without me," Kwesi mocked. "You'll see." Inaya went to a luxury hotel, trying to book a room with the unlimited credit card Kwesi gave her. "I'm sorry, ma'am, declined," the receptionist said coldly. She tried another card. Declined. All declined. Kwesi had blocked everything. Or it was the bank. Inaya panicked. She called her high society friends. "Girl, I have a problem. Can you lend me—" The phone cut off. She called another. "Hello, I have bad signal." Phone turned off. She didn't know. Zulika, through her new network, didn't need to do anything. Sekou just had to leak Kwesi's audit report to a few key people. The news that Kwesi was a scammer and Inaya, the side chick linked to a bankrupt scammer, had spread through all the group chats of Atlanta's elite. She was toxic. No one wanted to associate with her. That night, the recording of her fight with Kwesi in front of the building went viral on local gossip blogs. Her beautiful face was now associated with bankruptcy and cheap drama. Her modeling career was finished. The doors of the high-class world closed. Inaya, who once felt on top of the world, now had to sell her authentic bags and some fakes she just discovered Kwesi gave her, one by one, just to survive, back to the obscurity she hated so much. 2 weeks after the seizure, Zulika sat with Sekou in the meeting room of her mansion. The mahogany table was now full of blueprints. "All assets of Kwesi Constructions, Inc. have been liquidated," Sekou informed. "His office, his equipment, and the penthouse. Everything is enough to cover the debt of $500,000 plus interest and legal costs." "Good," Zulika said. "What will we do with the penthouse?" "We can sell it." Zulika shook her head. "No, sell all the luxury furniture inside, empty it. Then give the keys to Mr. Zuberi at the Heritage Bank. Tell them to give it as a bonus gift to Kofi." Sekou raised an eyebrow, a little surprised by the touch of cynical humor. "Kofi, the bank teller?" "Yes, he deserves it. He was the first one to help me." "Very well, ma'am. And the 2,000 acres? Will we proceed with the luxury development plan?" Zulika stood up, walking toward the large window looking at the garden. She remembered her father's letter. "Build your own kingdom." "Kwesi wanted to build a palace for the rich that people like me could only see from outside the gate," Zulika said. "I will do the opposite." She went back to the table and pointed at the new blueprints. "I am going to build homes." She said that Okafor Legacy Holdings LLC would use the first 250 acres to build dignified, subsidized housing, complete with a school and a small medical center. "For whom?" Sekou asked, now truly interested. "For the workers in our pecan groves and for the owners of the small suppliers who were almost destroyed by Kwesi. They will have priority and special discounts, and the machinery seized from Kwesi, we will use it to build those houses," Zulika said with a faint smile. "It's poetic justice." Sekou looked at her with undisguised admiration. "Not only that," Zulika added, "on another 25 acres, I want to build the training center, the Okafor Center, a training facility for modern agribusiness and small business management. I want people like my father to have the chance to succeed without having to hide." Zulika wasn't just getting revenge, she was building a legacy. Zalika was done with Kwesi, but the law wasn't. Kwesi, who was now living poorly in a shared apartment on the outskirts, thought the worst had passed. He thought that after losing everything to Zalika, he was free. One afternoon, while eating instant noodles, there was a knock on the door. "Police? Mr. Kwesi, you are under arrest." "What is this now? My debt to Zalika is paid." "This isn't about debts," the officer said. "This is about the use of substandard materials on the bridge project in Macon and tax fraud." Kwesi froze. How did they know? He didn't know that Sekou, on behalf of a client concerned about public safety, had anonymously sent copies of Kwesi's double ledger and the lab results of the poor-quality cement to the district attorney and the IRS. "He built a bridge that could collapse, Sekou," Zalika had said at that moment. "It could kill people. This is no longer about him and me. It's about justice." The news of Kwesi's arrest was a local headline. "Elite developer falls. Alleged corruption and fraud." In her mansion, Zalika watched the news on the large TV. She looked at Kwesi's face, gaunt and angry, being escorted away. She felt nothing, neither anger nor satisfaction. That chapter was finally closed. She turned off the TV. 1 year later, Okafor Legacy Holdings LLC was no longer a dormant and mysterious company. The company was now one of the new economic pillars in the South. Zalika had revolutionized her pecan groves with sustainable practices, raising wages for workers and building modern facilities. The Okafor Training Center had already opened, and the first class had graduated. The first phase of subsidized housing was full. Zalika was no longer called Madam Director with a tone of fear. The old workers called her Ms. Zalika, or Ade's daughter, with respect and affection. She was standing on a hill on her farm, looking at the green expanse under the afternoon sun. She was no longer the disheveled woman in the lobby of the Sovereign, nor the cold woman in the meeting room. She was Zalika, complete. Footsteps were heard behind her. "Zalika, the view is beautiful," Sekou said. He was no longer wearing a formal suit, just a casual linen shirt. Now he spent more time in the country than in Atlanta. "Yes," Zalika said, smiling, a sincere smile. "My father called this an anchor. Turns out this anchor can be used to build many things." "You have built your kingdom, Zalika," Sekou said. "We," Zalika corrected. "We built it." Sekou smiled. "My team in Atlanta keeps asking when I'm coming back. Seems I need to give them an answer." "And what is your answer?" Zalika asked, looking at him. Sekou didn't answer with words. He took a step forward, looked at Zalika, and then held out his hand. "I am no longer needed as a consultant. The cleaner," they said. "No," Zalika replied, accepting his hand. The grip was firm. "Now I need you as a partner." They stood there, watching the sunset over their kingdom, a kingdom that wasn't built on greed or lies, but on the rubble of betrayal and raised again with the foundations of justice and a new legacy. Did you like the story, and which city are you listening from? Let's meet in the comments. If you like the story, you can support me by sending a super thanks so I can keep bringing more stories like this. Thank you so much for your sweet support. I'm looking forward to your comments on the story. On the screen, you can see 2 new life stories that I highly recommend. There's so much more on my channel. Don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next life story with love and respect.